What if the dream that refuses to leave your mind is there for a reason? What if that idea, that goal, that vision you keep returning to is not a distraction, but a calling? What if every setback, every delay, every disappointment, and every wrong turn was secretly guiding you toward the person you were meant to become? What if the obstacles were not there to stop you, but to prepare you? What if the closed doors, the failures, and the moments when you felt completely lost were actually part of a path you could not yet see? Because sometimes, life does not reveal its purpose all at once. Sometimes it speaks through a dream, a feeling, a desire that refuses to disappear. And for those brave enough to follow it, that dream can change everything. This is the story of a young shepherd named Santiago, a boy who dared to listen to his heart, leave behind everything familiar, and embark on a journey that would teach him one of the greatest lessons ever written. A lesson about purpose, destiny, and the treasure waiting for those who refuse to give up on their dreams. There was a young shepherd named Santiago. Santiago lived in the countryside of southern Spain. Every day, he traveled across rolling hills and open fields with his flock of sheep. To most people, his life seemed simple, perhaps even ordinary. But Santiago loved it, because unlike many others, he was free. Free to travel, free to explore, free to see places beyond the small village where he was born. As he walked beneath the sun and slept beneath the stars, he dreamed of seeing the world. The sheep became his companions. They followed him faithfully wherever he went. And over time, Santiago learned something interesting. The sheep only cared about food and water. They never questioned where they were going. They never dreamed about something more. But Santiago was different. Deep inside him lived a restless curiosity, a feeling that his life held a greater purpose, a feeling he could not explain. And then, something strange began to happen. One night, while sleeping inside an abandoned church beneath a giant sycamore tree, Santiago had a dream. In the dream, a mysterious child appeared. The child took his hands and led him across distant lands, all the way to the great pyramids of Egypt. Standing before the pyramids, the child pointed toward the sand and said there was a hidden treasure waiting for him. Just as Santiago was about to discover exactly where the treasure was buried, he woke up. The dream felt incredibly real, but he dismissed it and continued his journey. Yet a few days later, the exact same dream returned. The same child, the same pyramids, the same hidden treasure. And once again, he woke up before learning the location. Now Santiago could not ignore it. Why would the same dream appear twice? What was it trying to tell him? Curious and confused, he decided to visit an old woman who claimed she could interpret dreams. After listening carefully, she surprised him with her answer. She told him that he must travel to Egypt. She believed the treasure was real, and if he found it, his life would change forever. Santiago left unconvinced, yet the dream continued to occupy his thoughts. Days later, while sitting in a town square reading a book, he noticed an unusual old man watching him. The stranger wore simple clothes, but there was something extraordinary about him. Something wise, something powerful. The old man sat beside Santiago and began asking questions about his life. At first, Santiago was annoyed, but the stranger seemed to know things he should not have known. He knew Santiago's name. He knew about his sheep. He even seemed to understand the dream that had been haunting him. Then the old man revealed a remarkable truth. He told Santiago that every person has what he called a personal legend, a dream, a purpose, a destiny that they are meant to fulfill. And when people are young, they often know exactly what that dream is. But as they grow older, fear, doubt, and the opinions of others slowly convince them to abandon it. The old man looked into Santiago's eyes and said, "When you truly want something, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it." For the first time, Santiago felt that someone understood the longing that had always lived inside him. The dream was no longer just a dream. It was becoming a choice. A choice between staying where he was or risking everything to discover what awaited beyond the horizon. And standing in that town square, with his sheep nearby and the future uncertain, Santiago faced the first great decision of his life. The next morning, Santiago could think of little else. The old man's words echoed in his mind. When you truly want something, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it. Was it possible? Could the dream really be leading him somewhere? Or was he about to make the biggest mistake of his life? For days, he wrestled with the decision. Part of him wanted to stay. His life was comfortable. His sheep provided everything he needed. The countryside was familiar, safe, predictable. But another part of him, the part that had always dreamed of seeing the world, refused to remain silent. The dream would not let him go. Eventually, Santiago made his choice. He would follow the dream. He would search for the treasure, even if it meant risking everything. So he did something that terrified him. He sold his sheep, one by one, the flock he had cared for, the companions who had traveled beside him, the life he had built. All of it was gone. For the first time in years, Santiago stood alone. No flock, no certainty, only a dream and a destination, Egypt. Soon afterward, he traveled south toward the coast, then crossed the sea to Africa. As the ship approached the harbor of Tangier, Santiago stared in amazement. Everything felt different. The language, the clothing, the buildings, the sounds, the smells. It was unlike anything he had ever experienced. For the first time, he was truly far from home. At first, excitement filled his heart. This was the adventure he had always wanted. The journey had finally begun. But destiny often tests people before rewarding them. And Santiago's first test arrived almost immediately. Unable to speak the local language, alone in a foreign land, he met a young man who offered to help him. Relieved to find someone friendly, Santiago trusted him. He handed over his money, the money he had received from selling his sheep, the money that represented his future, his dream, his entire journey. Then, the young man disappeared, along with every coin. Santiago searched desperately through the crowded marketplace. He looked everywhere, but the stranger was gone. His money was gone. Everything was gone. Standing alone in the middle of the city, reality crashed into him. He had crossed an ocean, abandoned his old life, followed a dream, and now, within a single day, he had lost everything. Fear filled his mind. Anger followed, then regret. Maybe this had all been a mistake. Maybe he should have stayed home. Maybe the old man was wrong. Maybe dreams were dangerous. As night fell, Santiago sat alone, hungry, exhausted, and completely defeated. The bustling city around him no longer felt exciting. It felt frightening. For the first time since leaving Spain, he seriously considered giving up, returning home, forgetting the treasure, forgetting Egypt, forgetting the dream. After all, wouldn't that be easier? Wouldn't it be safer? But deep inside, another voice whispered, the same voice that had always pushed him forward, the voice that refused to settle, the voice that had brought him this far. Santiago looked toward the distant horizon. He had lost his money, but he had not lost his dream. And perhaps, the journey was only beginning. After the darkest night of his journey, Santiago woke up with a choice. He could continue feeling sorry for himself, or he could move forward. The treasure seemed farther away than ever. He had no money, no friends, no plan, but he still had something important: the ability to choose what happened next. As he wandered through the city looking for work, he noticed a crystal shop sitting on top of a hill. The shop looked old. Dust covered the crystal displays. Very few customers entered. The business seemed forgotten. Santiago climbed the hill and approached the owner, the crystal merchant. The merchant was cautious. Business had been poor for years, but seeing Santiago's determination, he agreed to let him clean the crystal in exchange for food. Santiago immediately began working. He carefully polished the dusty crystal pieces. One by one, the glass began to shine. Before long, customers who had ignored the shop started stopping to look. Then they started buying. The merchant was surprised, and Santiago was hired. Days became weeks. Weeks became months. Santiago worked harder than he ever had before. He learned how to speak the local language. He learned how business worked, and he began noticing opportunities everywhere. While others accepted things the way they were, Santiago constantly asked a simple question: how can this be better? One day he had an idea. He suggested displaying crystal outside the shop where travelers could easily see it. The merchant hesitated. He feared change. He feared risk. But eventually he agreed. The result was immediate. More customers arrived. Sales increased. The shop became busier than it had been in years. Later, Santiago proposed another idea. He suggested serving tea inside crystal glasses. People loved it. The tea attracted customers. The crystal impressed them, and sales grew even more. The merchant's small shop was transformed. What had once been a struggling business became successful. For nearly a year, Santiago worked tirelessly, and little by little, his savings grew, until one day, he finally held enough money to buy an even larger flock of sheep than the one he had sold. At that moment, he faced another choice. He could return to Spain, return to his old life, return home richer than before. Many people would have done exactly that. The dream had already cost him enough. But Santiago had changed. The crystal shop taught him something valuable. He learned that opportunity often hides inside difficulty, that setbacks can become stepping stones, and that progress belongs to those willing to act. The merchant had spent years dreaming about a better future, but he never acted. Santiago realized he did not want to live that way. He did not want to spend the rest of his life wondering, what if? So despite finally having the money to return home, he made another difficult decision. He would continue toward Egypt, continue toward the pyramids, continue toward the treasure, because deep down, he knew he had not come this far merely to return to where he started. And with that decision, the journey continued. With his savings in hand, Santiago made his decision. He would not return to Spain. He would continue toward Egypt, continue toward the pyramids, continue toward his personal legend. The next step of his journey led him to the edge of the Great Sahara Desert. There, he joined a massive caravan preparing to cross the endless sea of sand. Hundreds of travelers gathered together. Merchants, families, guides, camel drivers, and adventurers chasing dreams of their own. The journey would be dangerous. Tribal wars had begun spreading across parts of the desert. Bandits roamed certain regions, and a single mistake could mean death beneath the burning sun. But Santiago was no longer the frightened boy who had arrived in Tangier. He had learned to trust the journey. As the caravan prepared to depart, Santiago met a curious traveler, an Englishman. Unlike most people in the caravan, the Englishman spent nearly all his time reading books. Large books, ancient books, books filled with strange symbols and mysterious knowledge. The Englishman was searching for someone known as the Alchemist, a legendary man believed to possess extraordinary wisdom. He hoped the alchemist would teach him the secrets hidden within the universe. The Englishman believed that all knowledge could be found inside books. So he studied constantly, page after page, hour after hour. Santiago listened carefully, and in return, he told the Englishman about his dream, his treasure, and the journey that had brought him this far. As the caravan moved deeper into the desert, the world around them began to change. The endless dunes stretched beyond the horizon. The silence became almost magical. Some days, there was nothing to hear except the wind, nothing to see except sand and sky. At first, Santiago found the silence uncomfortable, but gradually, he began to notice something. The desert was speaking, not with words, but with signs, movements, feelings, patterns, the flight of birds, the behavior of camels, the direction of the wind. Everything seemed connected. Everything seemed to communicate. The Englishman called this the language of the world, a language spoken not through words, but through life itself. The more Santiago observed, the more he understood. He realized that when people pay attention, the world often provides guidance, sometimes through opportunities, sometimes through intuition, sometimes through unexpected encounters. and sometimes through challenges. The desert taught him to listen, not only with his ears, but with his heart. Day after day, the caravan continued across the endless sands. And somewhere beyond the horizon, the pyramids waited. But even more importantly, Santiago himself was changing, because the journey was no longer only about finding treasure. It was becoming a journey of understanding, a journey of learning how the world truly works. And deep within the silent desert, he sensed that the greatest lessons were still ahead. After weeks of crossing the desert, the caravan finally arrived at a magnificent oasis. It felt like a miracle. Thousands of date palms stretched toward the sky. Fresh water flowed from deep wells. Children played among the trees. Families rested beneath the shade. After endless days of sand and silence, the oasis felt like another world. Because tribal conflicts were spreading across the desert, the caravan was forced to remain there until it was safe to continue. At first, Santiago was disappointed. He wanted to keep moving. The pyramids were still waiting. The treasure was still waiting. But soon, something unexpected happened. Something he never could have predicted. One day, while visiting the wells of the oasis, Santiago saw a young woman carrying a water jar. The moment he looked into her eyes, everything changed. Her name was Fatima. She was beautiful, but it was more than beauty. There was a quiet strength about her, a peace, a wisdom, a feeling that seemed familiar even though they had never met. For a moment, the noise of the oasis disappeared. The world seemed to stand still. And Santiago knew this was love, not the kind of love that grows slowly over years, but the kind that arrives suddenly, the kind that feels as though it was waiting for you all along. Day after day, he found reasons to visit the wells. And day after day, they talked. The more he learned about Fatima, the more certain he became. He had crossed an ocean, lost everything, crossed a desert, followed a dream, and somehow, the greatest treasure he had discovered so far was standing before him. Eventually, Santiago told her how he felt, and to his amazement, Fatima smiled, because she felt it too. For the first time since beginning his journey, Santiago imagined a different future, a future where he stayed, a future where he built a life at the oasis, a future where he never risked losing Fatima. And once again, he faced a difficult choice: continue searching for the treasure, or remain with the woman he loved. The decision felt impossible, because for the first time, his dream and his heart seemed to be pulling him in different directions. But Fatima surprised him. She did not ask him to stay. She did not ask him to abandon his dream. Instead, she told him something he would never forget. She explained that the women of the desert understand something important. True love never prevents someone from fulfilling their destiny. True love supports it. If his dream was real, he must continue. And if their love was real, he would return. Standing beneath the palm trees of the oasis, Santiago realized something profound. The treasure was not only teaching him about the world, it was teaching him about love. And for the first time, he understood that the greatest things in life do not compete with one another. They work together. The dream, the journey, and love. And somewhere beyond the horizon, the next chapter of his destiny was waiting. As Santiago settled into life at the oasis, he believed he had finally found peace. He had discovered love. He had discovered purpose. And for the first time in his journey, he felt truly at home. But destiny was not finished with him yet. One evening, as the sun disappeared behind the desert dunes, a mysterious horseman appeared from the desert. He rode a magnificent black horse. His eyes were sharp and calm. His presence commanded respect. Some whispered about him. Others feared him. But very few truly knew him. He was known simply as the Alchemist, the legendary man the Englishman had spent years searching for, the man believed to understand the deepest secrets of life. Word soon reached the Alchemist about Santiago, about the shepherd who followed a dream, about the boy learning the language of the world. And one night, the Alchemist came to meet him. At first, Santiago felt intimidated. The man seemed to possess a wisdom far beyond anything he had ever encountered. Yet the Alchemist spoke simply, directly, as if he could see straight into Santiago's heart. He asked Santiago a question that immediately revealed the struggle still living inside him. Did he truly intend to continue toward his treasure, or had he decided to remain safely at the oasis? The question troubled Santiago, because he loved Fatima. Part of him wanted to stay. Part of him feared losing everything once again. The alchemist listened carefully. Then he shared a lesson Santiago would never forget. He explained that the greatest obstacle people face is not failure. It is fear. Fear of losing what they love. Fear of making mistakes. Fear of suffering. Fear of the unknown. Most people abandon their dreams not because they cannot achieve them, but because they become afraid. Afraid that pursuing their destiny might cost too much. The alchemist then told Santiago something profound. The fear of suffering is worse than the suffering itself. Those words struck deeply, because Santiago realized how often fear had tried to stop him. Fear tried to stop him when he sold his sheep. Fear tried to stop him after he was robbed. Fear tried to stop him when he crossed the desert. And now fear was trying to stop him again. The alchemist explained that every person has a personal legend, a destiny, a purpose. And when people ignore that calling, something inside them slowly begins to fade. Not immediately, but over time, because the heart knows when a dream has been abandoned. The alchemist warned him that if he remained at the oasis out of fear, he might live comfortably, but one day, he would look back and wonder what could have been, just as the crystal merchant had done. The lesson was clear. Love was not the enemy. Fear was. True love would not prevent him from fulfilling his destiny. True love would walk beside it. That night, Santiago looked out across the moonlit desert. The dunes stretched endlessly toward the horizon. Beyond them waited the pyramids. Beyond them waited the treasure. And somewhere within him, the fear that once controlled him began to lose its power, because he was finally learning one of life's greatest truths. The greatest danger is not failing to achieve your dream. The greatest danger is never trying at all. With renewed courage, Santiago left the oasis, alongside the alchemist. Together they traveled deeper into the desert, toward the pyramids, toward the treasure, toward the final stage of his journey. Day after day, the alchemist continued teaching him, not through lectures, not through books, but through experience. He taught Santiago to trust his heart, to listen to the signs around him, and to understand that fear disappears when action begins. The desert itself became their classroom. Every dune, every wind, every sunrise carried a lesson, but soon, their journey took a dangerous turn. One afternoon, they were captured by warriors from a tribe involved in the desert conflict. Armed horsemen surrounded them. Weapons glinted beneath the sun. The warriors demanded to know who they were and why they traveled through the region. The situation was serious. One wrong answer could cost them their lives. The alchemist remained calm as if nothing was wrong. Then he did something unexpected. He told the warriors that Santiago possessed extraordinary powers. He claimed the young shepherd could transform himself into the wind. The warriors laughed. Some were amused. Others were curious. The tribal chief became interested. So he offered Santiago a challenge. If he could become the wind within 3 days, they would be spared. If he failed, they would die. For the first time in a long while, fear returned. Not ordinary fear. This was the greatest challenge Santiago had ever faced. How could a human being become the wind? It was impossible. Santiago looked toward the alchemist for help, but the alchemist offered very little. Instead, he encouraged Santiago to trust what he had already learned. Trust his heart. Trust the language of the world. Trust the soul of the universe. As the deadline approached, Santiago walked alone into the desert. He spoke to the sand. He spoke to the wind. He spoke to the sun. And through these conversations, he began to understand something profound. Everything in creation is connected. The desert, the wind, the stars, the sun, human beings, all were expressions of the same universal spirit, the same force that gives life to everything. And when someone truly follows their personal legend, they become connected to that force. On the final day, The warriors gathered to watch. The chief watched. The alchemist watched. The entire camp waited. Santiago stood alone atop a dune. The desert wind began to rise. Slowly at first, then faster. The sky darkened with blowing sand. The wind roared across the desert. A massive sandstorm swept through the camp. Tents shook violently. Warriors shielded their faces. Camels cried out. The desert itself seemed alive. No one could clearly see Santiago anymore. Only the storm, only the wind, only the power of the desert. And in that moment, the warriors witnessed something they would never forget. Not because Santiago literally became the wind, but because he had become one with it. One with the language connecting all things. One with the purpose he had spent his entire journey seeking. When the storm finally settled, Santiago stood unharmed. The warriors stared in amazement. The chief kept his promise. They were free to continue. And Santiago emerged from the experience transformed. Because he had discovered a truth far greater than treasure. The limits that most people accept are often created by fear. And when fear loses its power, possibilities begin to expand. The shepherd who once doubted himself had now accomplished what seemed impossible. And the pyramids were finally within reach. As they continued their journey, Santiago and the alchemist eventually arrived at a small monastery near the edge of the desert. The building was ancient. Its stone walls had weathered countless years beneath the desert sun. The place was quiet, peaceful, a final resting point before Santiago reached the pyramids. That evening, the alchemist asked the monks for permission to use their kitchen. The monks agreed. Curious, Santiago followed him inside. There, the alchemist did something extraordinary. He placed a small piece of lead into a metal pan. Then he began working with complete confidence. Santiago watched carefully. The alchemist had spoken often about the soul of the world, about transformation, about discovering the hidden potential inside all things. Now, for the first time, Santiago was about to witness it. Slowly, the metal changed. What had once been ordinary lead became pure gold. The golden metal reflected the firelight, filling the room with a warm glow. Santiago stared in amazement. For years, people had searched for the secret of alchemy. Many believed it was impossible. Yet here it was, right before his eyes. The alchemist smiled. But the lesson was not really about gold. It was about transformation. Just as lead could become gold, a person could become far more than they once imagined. The shepherd had become a traveler. The traveler had become a seeker. And the seeker was becoming the person he was meant to be. When the gold cooled, the alchemist carefully divided it into 4 equal pieces. One piece he gave to the monk, a gift for his kindness and hospitality. One piece he kept for himself. One piece he handed to Santiago. And the final piece he entrusted to the monastery for safekeeping. If you ever lose your gold, he said, come back and claim this piece. Santiago held the gold in his hands. It was worth more money than he had ever possessed. Yet somehow, it no longer seemed like the greatest treasure, because the journey had already given him things far more valuable. Wisdom, courage, purpose, and love. The next morning, the time finally came to say goodbye. The alchemist mounted his magnificent black horse. Santiago stood beside him in silence. The man who had guided him through the desert, the teacher who had helped him conquer fear, had completed his work. Before leaving, the alchemist looked at him one final time. Then he smiled and simply said, "You already know everything you need to know." With that, he turned his horse toward the horizon and rode away into the desert. Santiago watched until the figure disappeared among the dunes. Then he turned toward the pyramids, toward the treasure, toward the final chapter of his personal legend. After the alchemist disappeared beyond the horizon, Santiago continued alone. The desert was silent once more. Only the wind accompanied him. Yet he no longer felt afraid. The lessons of the journey lived inside him now. Every challenge, every setback, every victory had prepared him for this moment. Day after day, he traveled across the final stretch of desert. And then, one morning, he saw them, the pyramids of Egypt. rising from the sand like giants from another world. Ancient, magnificent, timeless. For a moment, Santiago simply stood and stared. The dream that had begun beneath the sycamore tree in Spain had brought him here, across continents, across deserts, across fear itself. Tears filled his eyes, not because he had found the treasure, but because he had made it this far, because he had not given up, because the dream had been real. Falling to his knees in the sand, he thanked God for guiding him through every step of the journey. Then, with renewed determination, he began to dig, certain that the treasure was buried nearby. Hour after hour, he dug beneath the shadow of the pyramids. The desert sun burned overhead. His hands grew tired, but he refused to stop. The treasure was close. He could feel it. Then suddenly, voices echoed across the dunes. Before Santiago could react, several men emerged from the darkness. Thieves. They surrounded him, demanding to know what he was doing. Santiago tried to explain, but when they discovered the piece of gold the alchemist had given him, their eyes widened. They immediately took it. The gold, his belongings, everything. One of the thieves struck him and demanded an answer. "Why are you digging here?" Bruised and exhausted, Santiago finally told them the truth. He told them about the recurring dream, the mysterious child, the pyramids, the hidden treasure, and the long journey that had brought him across the world. For a moment, the thieves were silent. Then they burst into laughter. One of them shook his head. "You crossed a desert for a dream?" he said. Then the thief revealed something Santiago never expected. "You are foolish. 2 years ago, I had a dream myself. In the dream, I was told to travel to Spain, to the ruins of an abandoned church. There was a giant sycamore tree growing through the roof, and beneath that tree, there was supposed to be treasure." The thief laughed. "But I'm not stupid enough to cross the world because of a dream." Santiago froze. His heart began to race, because he knew that place. He knew the church. He knew the tree. It was the very place where his journey had begun. The thieves eventually left, but Santiago remained where he was, smiling. For the first time, he finally understood. The treasure had never been beneath the pyramids. The pyramids had simply led him to the answer. With renewed hope, Santiago returned to Spain, crossing the desert once more, crossing the sea once more, until at last he arrived at the abandoned church where his journey had begun. The old sycamore tree still stood beneath the open sky. Kneeling beneath its roots, Santiago began to dig. And this time, he found it. A chest filled with gold, jewels, and treasures hidden long ago. The treasure had been there all along. But Santiago knew that the gold was not the greatest reward. The real treasure was who he had become, the courage he discovered, the wisdom he gained, the love he found, and the faith that carried him forward when every reason to quit stood in his way. Because sometimes, the journey changes us before the reward arrives. And sometimes, the thing we are searching for is closer than we think. But life must first transform us into the person capable of finding it. And with that realization, Santiago smiled beneath the sycamore tree, for he had finally fulfilled his personal legend.